So today we are going to start with antiviral drugs, the drugs which are used for the treatment of viral infections. Now what are viruses? The viruses are submicroscopic infectious agents which cannot be seen even with a microscope. They are obligatory intracellular parasites. Obligatory means they must enter into some host cell, which may be a plant cell, animal cell, or a human cell, for their replication and multiplication. They cannot multiply by themselves. They use the mechanisms of host cell for their viability and replication. The nucleic acid, DNA or RNA, depending upon the type of virus, and the proteins which cover the virus, they are synthesized inside the host cell using the mechanisms of host cell. Mature virion, which can exist outside the host cell for some time, which varies from virus to virus, that retains the infective properties, and virion has genetic material coated by protein layer known as capsid and outside lipid envelope. Now, seeing this intracellular nature, the obligatory parasite nature of viruses, there are few challenges in developing the drugs for viral treatment. First and foremost being, we need the drugs which are toxic to the virus but not to the host cell. Now see, the mechanism of host cell is being used by the virus for its replication, but we want to check the replication of virus, not that of the host cell. So we need an agent which spares the host cell so that drug is least toxic. Because if the drug is non-selective, it will be having a high risk of systemic toxicity to the host. Therefore, we want to develop those drugs which identify unique steps of viral replication that can be interfered with without causing any damage to the host cell. Second problem in the treatment of viral infections is existence of an incubation period which may vary from few days to few weeks for different viruses. So in this incubation period, patient is infective as virus is replicating inside the host cells, though there are no symptoms. He is asymptomatic. Hence, early initiation of antiviral drugs or chemoprophylaxis in the close contacts, that is the key to success. Nowadays, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, you people are, I think, more familiar with these terms. Chemoprophylaxis with HCQ for coronavirus. So these things are quite commonly, these terms are being used nowadays, so I think you are familiar. Chemoprophylaxis, when the person is still asymptomatic, if he is a close contact or is exposed, so we need to give the antiviral drugs. Now this diagram shows the steps of viral replication. They will be discussed in more detail by microbiology people, but here I want to indicate the sites where drugs can act so that they are least toxic for the host cell but affect the viral cell. Now these steps include, first of all, this is a mature virion. You can see the outer layer capsid and these lipid layer, and then this enters into the first step is entry of virus into the host cell. This is a mammalian or host cell. Virus enters, that is penetration. The outer coat is gone, the nucleic acid, DNA or RNA genome that enters into the nucleus of the host cell, where the viral nucleic acid is synthesized. Initially, there is formation of polymerases, which is early protein synthesis. Nucleic acid is synthesized, viral nucleic acid. Then it leaves the nucleus, comes out in the cytoplasm, where late proteins are synthesized. These are structural proteins. Then the newly synthesized nucleic acid is surrounded or enclosed by these structural proteins or capsid. This is packaging and assembly. This mature virion is then released from the cell and it is ready to attack the new cell, another cell. In this way, viremia occurs. So, if there is some drug which interferes with this entry, so that virus cannot enter into the host cell and cannot use this mechanism of the host cell for its multiplication, so that drug will act only on the virus, will not have much effect on the this mammalian cell. That will be least toxic drug, that will not be toxic to the mammalian cell. If some drugs we give here, this can be the first target. Viral entry is inhibited. Next, there can be drugs which interfere with the uncoating. Means virus though has entered into the mammalian cell, but it is not able to remove the protein coat, so that the synthesis of new viral genetic material doesn't occur. Or there are drugs, this is third target, the drugs which interfere with the synthesis of viral nucleic acid. These are the analogues of guanosine, cytosine, uridine, like that. Those interfere with the viral nucleic acid synthesis. Then there are drugs which interfere, nucleic acid is synthesized but it is not enclosed inside the capsid, the late structural protein synthesis is interfered with. Or last step, although everything has occurred, the packaging and release of virus from the infected cell into the medium for further infecting new cells, that is interfered with. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 targets that can be attacked. Such drugs may be used. We will see with examples as we discuss the drugs. We will see which drug acts at which site. Is that okay? Right. So coming to the classification, we must understand that all the drugs are virostatic. For bacteria, antimicrobial agents, we have bactericidal and bacteristatic drugs. But for viruses, all the drugs which we have, they are virostatics. They interfere with the multiplication of virus inside the host cell by any of the above 5 mechanisms we have discussed. The classification of antiviral drugs is based upon the viruses against which they are effective. So we will discuss, there is a huge number of viruses, new are coming, you are all familiar, every day a new virus is reported, but we will discuss those which are common and we have specific drugs against them, common for human infection. Anti-herpes viral infection, anti-herpes drugs. Now herpes virus, common viruses in this are herpes simplex virus, varicella zoster virus, Epstein-Barr virus. Even cytomegalo is in this group, but we have separate drugs for that. The drugs for herpes virus infections include acyclovir and its prodrug valacyclovir. Velyl ester of acyclovir. It is the valacyclovir. Velyl ester of acyclovir. It is a prodrug which gets converted into acyclovir inside the body. Similarly, we have penciclovir and its prodrug famciclovir. Acyclo, valacyclo, penciclo and famciclovir. Then we have docosanol, Then we have older drugs, idoxuridine and trifluridine. These are anti-herpes virus drugs. Drugs for cytomegalovirus infection include ganciclovir and its prodrug Velgen, velyl ester of ganciclovir, valganciclovir, which will get converted into ganciclovir inside the body. Then we have cidofovir, foscarnet and formivers. So drugs against herpes, drugs against CMV. Antihepatitis, the liver infections. Hepatitis can be hepatitis B, can be hepatitis C, and we have separate drugs for the two. Hepatitis B virus responds to, this is the first line drug, entecavir, adifovir, entecavir. Then we have lamivudine, telbivudine. Basically, this is anti-HIV drug, but it is effective against HBV, hepatitis B also. Lamivudine, non-selective. When I say non-selective, I mean it acts against more than one type of viruses. Lamivudine, basically antiretrovirus or anti-HIV drug, but it is effective in HBV also. So HBV, we have adifovir, entecavir, lamivudine, telbivudine, peg interferon alpha 2 alpha. Right? These are for hepatitis B. For hepatitis C, we have the polymerase inhibitors. We have sofosbuvir and dasabuvir. Sofosbuvir, dasabuvir. Protease inhibitors, boceprevir, cimeprevir, chaleprevir, peritepravir, grazoprevir. This is a long classification. Voxileprevir, glycaprevir, as many as you can remember. Right? Protease inhibitors, second group. First group, polymerase inhibitors. Second is protease inhibitors. These are the names. Previrs, Previr, Previr, boceprevir, cime, chela, perita, grazo, voxilla, glica. Then we have declet-esvir, velpet-esvir, pibrent-esvir, ledip-esvir, ombit-esvir and elbesvir. Okay. Long list. Protease inhibitors. Try to remember as many as you can. Then we have ribavirin and interferon alpha. These are non-selective ones. After herpes virus and hepatitis virus infections, we have common viral infections as influenza, respiratory tract viral infections. For that, we have neuraminidase inhibitors, which include oseltamivir, zanamivir, and paramivir. We have viral uncoating inhibitors. Virus has entered into the cell, but its protein coat is not removing. Amantadine and rimantadine. And then we have non-selective drug, ribavirin. Is that clear? Drugs against herpes, drugs against cytomegalovirus, hepatitis B and C, and drugs against influenza or respiratory viral infections. Then there is drugs against retrovirus infections, antiretrovirals or drugs against HIV. Broadly, these are nucleoside, non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors, protease inhibitors, integrase strand transfer inhibitors, entry inhibitors, and CCR5 receptor inhibitors. Now this antiretroviral is a separate chapter. So we will discuss these names. Lamivudine, you can see. So we will discuss this classification in detail with the next chapter. For the time being, broadly antiretroviral can be reverse transcriptase inhibitors, nucleotide, non-nucleotide, protease, instase, entry inhibitors and CCR5 receptor inhibitors. Details will be discussed later on. So in this class we will be taking up the anti-herpes drug. For that, you briefly need to know what are the various infections caused by herpes virus. Herpes includes herpes simplex virus type 1 and type 2. The common infections caused by HSV are recurrent genital infection, recurrent infections of the mucous membranes in the mouth, herpes labialis lips, skin, mucocutaneous infections, herpes infection of the skin, herpes infection of the eyes, viral keratitis. These are common. Serious infections with herpes virus can occur in the form of encephalitis, meningitis, or the infection gets disseminated through blood. Second virus in this group, varicella zoster virus, causes herpes zoster or shingles. In this, there is a lesion in the form, diagonal lesion on the body. Skin people will show you next year. In Hindi, that is called Janeu, as a Janeu is worn diagonally from one shoulder towards other pelvic bone. Like that, there are lesions, herpes zoster or shingles. Then there can be chickenpox with varicella zoster virus. Epstein-Barr virus, infectious mononucleosis syndrome or lymphoproliferative diseases. And cytomegalovirus can cause retinitis, which may lead to blindness. There can be enteritis, there can be pneumonitis. These are serious infections with cytomegalovirus, especially seen in immunocompromised patients like AIDS, like transplant recipients, like patients receiving cancer chemotherapy. So, like that. These things, I think, will be discussed in greater detail by microbiology people. But here I am concerned because we need to mention the therapeutic uses of anti-herpes drugs. So for that we need to know what are the various infections caused by herpes. Okay. So coming to the details, the pharmacology part. Drugs for HSV, we have already seen the classification. Acyclovir with its velyl ester, penciclovir with its prodrug, docacenol, and these older drugs, idoxuridine and trifluridine. So prototype drug in this group is acyclovir. We will discuss this in detail, and most of other drugs have the same mechanism, same things with few peculiarities we'll discuss. It is acyclic. It is acyclic analog of guanosine. Acyclic analog of guanosine. Its mechanism is, now this step of activation is very important in determining many things. Mechanism of action is acyclovir is activated by three phosphorylations. Now the first phosphorylation is very crucial because it needs the presence of an enzyme known as thymidine kinase, which is specific for herpes virus. Herpes virus secretes or has this enzyme, thymidine kinase enzyme, which converts acyclovir into acyclovir monophosphate. Now, as this step needs viral enzyme, so the drug will be activated only in those host cells which contain herpes virus. Is that clear? Acyclovir as needs thymidine kinase, viral thymidine kinase, for initial step of its activation. So active form of the drug will accumulate only and only inside the virus infected cells. This is a useful thing because those cells of the host which are not infected by virus, they will not have the drug in the active form. So the toxicity of the drug will be negligible. So after this viral enzyme catalyzed first phosphorylation, then host kinases come into play and cause second and third phosphorylation. So we get acyclovir triphosphate, monophosphate by viral enzyme, di and triphosphates by the mammalian cell kinases. So acyclovir triphosphate is formed, but to form triphosphate, first phosphorylation is necessary. Hence, active form will get accumulated only inside the virus infected cells, and this is a useful thing because it reduces the toxicity of the drug. Keep this in mind. We will see that those forms, those drugs which do not need this initial step, or which are not dependent upon viral thymidine kinase for activation, they are more toxic. Is that clear? Because once they enter into host cell, they get activated and they damage the cell. But for acyclovir, it gets activated only inside the virus infected cells. Is that clear? Okay. Now after this, acyclovir is converted into the active form acyclovir triphosphate. It causes competitive inhibition of viral DNA polymerase enzyme. Viral DNA polymerase enzyme, so it interferes with viral DNA synthesis. Instead of GTP itself, the acyclovir triphosphate gets incorporated in the viral DNA. So DNA is now faulty, and there occurs termination of chain elongation. This faulty DNA causes non-competitive or irreversible inhibition of viral DNA polymerase. Initially, there was competition between this drug and the deoxy-GTP. This drug gets incorporated, faulty DNA is formed which causes chain termination and irreversible inhibition of viral DNA polymerase, so it interferes with nucleic acid synthesis, viral nucleic acid synthesis. Kinetics. It has a low oral bioavailability, only 20%, 1/5. So when we use it orally, we will need to give a larger dose as compared to the parenteral dose, which is 5 milligram per kg to 15 milligram per kg. See, a 70 kg individual, 5 milligram, it comes out to be 350 milligrams only. 200 mg 5 times comes out to be 1000 milligrams. So due to low oral bioavailability, we give oral dose to compensate for the first pass metabolism. It has low plasma protein binding, so widely distributed, good entry into the CSF, and levels in the CSF are about half of the plasma concentration. It is not much metabolized. Excretion occurs by renal route through glomerular filtration as well as tubular secretion. So for those drugs which are excreted unchanged by the kidney, we need to go for dose reduction in patients with renal impairment. Right? Okay. Now coming to the spectrum of activity, as we are discussing anti-herpes, so it is effective against herpes simplex virus 1, HSV2, varicella zoster in the descending order. Most effective against HSV1, followed by HSV2, followed by varicella zoster, and against HSV it is 10 times more potent than against varicella. Weak activity is seen against Epstein-Barr virus, cytomegalovirus, and human herpes virus 6. Now, how the resistance develops to acyclovir. Herpes simplex virus, there occurs deficiency of this enzyme. Thymidine kinase enzyme is deficient in the resistant strains of herpes simplex. So the drug will not be activated. There will not be formation of acyclovir monophosphate. So there will be resistance. Whereas in varicella zoster virus, although the drug gets activated, but there is reduced affinity of viral DNA polymerase for active form of acyclovir. Acyclovir triphosphate is being formed, but that is not inhibiting DNA polymerase properly. So there is resistance. Now, cross resistance is seen with valacyclovir, which is only a prodrug. Valacyclovir, acyclovir, no difference. Pencyclovir, famciclovir, and ganciclovir. Ganciclovir is against cytomegalo. So these have more or less same mechanism as acyclovir. We will discuss in the subsequent slides. So there is cross resistance among these drugs. A viral strain which is not responding to acyclovir will not respond to these also. What are the uses? Now this is simple. Uses are just the extensions of the spectrum. It is effective against HSV1, HSV2 and varicella zoster. So therapeutic uses, it is useful in HSV1 infections like viral keratitis, mucocutaneous infections, herpes labialis, and serious infections like encephalitis. In case of keratitis, we give it topically as an eye ointment because it has good corneal penetration. Good corneal penetration. 5 times a day, it is preferred over idoxuridine for deep stromal ulcers. Now, previously for superficial dendritic ulcers, we used idoxuridine, which is faster acting as compared to acyclovir. But nowadays, most commonly used drug for viral keratitis is acyclovir. For mucocutaneous infections, we use acyclovir cream. So topical application in the eyes on the mucocutaneous membranes. For encephalitis, we need intravenous dose, and acyclovir is the drug of choice for viral encephalitis. Infections caused by herpes simplex virus type 2, there is genital herpes, for which we need topical as well as oral treatment, because this genital herpes is a very recurrent type of infection, so we need prophylaxis as well as treatment. For that, oral treatment is also required. In varicella zoster infections, shingles, the acyclovir provides symptomatic relief and faster healing of the lesions. In chickenpox, normally in uncomplicated cases, we need not give any treatment with antivirals, but if it occurs in neonates or in immunocompromised individuals, then drug of choice is again acyclovir used by intravenous route. So therapeutic uses closely linked to the spectrum: HSV1, HSV2, varicella zoster, which causes shingles and chickenpox. Right? Okay. ADRs are negligible. It is generally a well tolerated drug with negligible effect on normal host cells. Why? Because because it is activated only inside the virus infected cells. The host cells which are not infected by virus will not activate the drug, because monophosphate formation needs viral thymidine kinase enzyme. So it has negligible toxicity on normal host cells. ADRs are determined by the route of administration due to the irritant nature. Oral use causes nausea, diarrhea, headache, mild ADRs. On topical application, there can be burning sensation, tingling sensation. Intravenous use causes sweating, hypotension, and rashes may occur. Toxicity occurs in the form of fall in GFR, so there is caution in renal impairment. Toxic effects, hallucination, disorientation, convulsions can occur. Central effects in cases of toxic dosages. Otherwise, in normal therapeutic dosages, it is well tolerated with minor ADRs. So that was about the main drug, the prototype drug of anti-herpes group. Next is valacyclovir. If we read it as well, well, velyl ester of acyclovir, but to pronounce it is valacyclovir. A velyl ester, which is a prodrug of acyclovir, the esterases during the first pass will break it to yield what is acyclovir. So oral bioavailability, if first pass metabolism converts it into acyclovir, then oral bioavailability is increased 70%, up to 70%, in comparison to 20% of acyclovir as such. Okay, so we get higher plasma levels of acyclovir when valcyclovir is given by oral route. Give oral valcyclovir, get higher plasma levels of acyclovir, because during first pass this velyl part is removed by esterases and we get acyclovir in the systemic circulation, and 55 to 70% is the bioavailability. 55 to 70% fraction of the given dose is available in the systemic circulation. So we can give it by OD dose for prophylaxis and BD dose for treatment in patients of recurrent genital herpes. We have seen that for genital herpes, as it is a recurrent type of infection, we need oral dose in addition to topical. So for oral, valacyclovir is better than acyclovir. So if you get a short note on valacyclovir, you will say it is ester prodrug of acyclovir, and you will then add all the steps of activation of acyclovir, mechanism of action, spectrum, everything is same except for high oral bioavailability and convenient dosing schedules. Acyclovir need to be given 5 times a day, here OD or BD. Next drug in anti-herpes is penciclovir. Same mechanism of activation and action as acyclovir with few differences, right? Same mechanism of activation means it will be also activated by viral thymidine kinase to form penciclovir monophosphate, then by cellular kinases to form penciclovir diphosphate and triphosphate. So it will also be having same action, nucleic acid synthesis inhibitor. But what is the difference is penciclovir triphosphate does not cause chain termination, means triphosphate is formed, competitive inhibition of DNA polymerase occurs, but chain termination of DNA does not occur, and there is low affinity of DNA polymerase for penciclovir triphosphate as compared to acyclovir triphosphate. But the levels inside the virus infected cells persist for a long time. It causes competitive inhibition of DNA polymerase, but for a longer time as compared to acyclovir. We use it as 1% cream in recurrent herpes labialis. It is a well tolerated drug. Why well tolerated? Again, because only virus infected cells will activate it. ADRs occur in the form of local reactions at the site of application. There can occur nausea or headache, etc., but this is very mild, so a good drug for topical administration in herpes labialis. Famciclovir, as I have already mentioned, is a prodrug of penciclovir. So after oral administration, it will be rapidly converted during first pass metabolism to give penciclovir. So rest of the things remain the same. Now, as it is a prodrug, it has oral bioavailability better than penciclovir, 70%. So now when oral bioavailability is high, we can use it for oral treatment for prophylaxis or treatment of recurrent genital herpes, herpes labialis and acute zoster infections by oral route, whereas penciclovir was used only by topical route because oral bioavailability is very low. So we prepared a prodrug which has better bioavailability that can be used for same infection, herpes zoster labialis genital herpes, and it is well tolerated because ADRs will be due to penciclovir only. Next drug in antiherpes is docosanol. It is OTC. OTC समझते हैं? OTC is over the counter ointment. It is over the counter available, means without prescription you can get this ointment for application, topical application in patients of herpes labialis. There is herpes infection around the lips, chronic type of infection it is. This drug is an aliphatic alcohol and it interferes with the fusion of plasma membrane of host cell and envelope of herpes simplex, means it interferes with the very first step of entry of virus into. If these two membranes do not fuse, the genetic material of virus will not enter into the host cell. So if a virus does not enter into the host cell, it cannot replicate, right? So it interferes with the very first step of viral replication by interfering the fusion of cell membrane with viral envelope. So we use it in chronic recurrent orolabial herpes as 10% cream, which is available over the counter even without prescription. Topically used, minor topical reactions, tingling, burning sensation, itching, etc. can occur at the site of application. Right? You may get docosanol as a short note. These are older drugs, idoxuridine and trifluridine. They are pyrimidine antimetabolites, compete with thymidine, get incorporated in DNA, faulty DNA is formed, use is restricted to topical use as they are faster acting in superficial dendritic keratitis, which is highly symptomatic. To control the symptoms, we sometimes prefer idoxuridine drops or ointment over acyclovir because we need faster acting drug in this case, as patient has too many symptoms in superficial dendritic keratitis. But these drugs are too toxic, very much toxic for systemic use. So we don't use them at all for systemic purposes. Sometimes only as eye drops for superficial dendritic keratitis they may be used. Nowadays they are not even available at most of the places. Why they are too toxic? Because they have low virus selectivity, they have high local toxicity, and resistance develops rapidly. Okay. So if you remember that idoxuridine and trifluridine are older drugs, they are too toxic for systemic use and are used only sometimes in superficial keratitis, that is enough. So that was about the antiherpes. Now coming to cytomegalovirus infection. The infection with cytomegalovirus commonly occurs in immunocompromised patients, those taking steroid therapy, those on immunosuppressant therapy after the transplant of organs, those who are suffering from HIV, those who are suffering from malignant diseases. So it occurs mainly due to reactivation of latent infection in HIV patient Dissemination of infection results in end-organ disease like colitis, retinitis, and drugs are ganciclovir and its prodrug valganciclovir, foscarnet, and cidofovir. Coming to first drug, ganciclovir. Now again, it is acyclic analog of guanosine. There is a mistake. It is more potent against cytomegalovirus. Active metabolite attains much higher levels in cytomegalovirus infected cells. As compared to acyclovir, it is more effective against cytomegalo as more levels are reached in CMV infected host cells. Mechanism of action remains the same, that is first phosphorylation by viral kinase and second and third phosphorylation by the cellular kinases. The triphosphate form will interfere with the viral nucleic acid synthesis. Now if we see its activity, it is a non-selective drug because it is active against many drugs, many viruses, but maximum is against the cytomegalovirus followed by herpes simplex, also effective in zoster, Epstein-Barr and HHV, human herpes virus 6. What are the uses of ganciclovir? Now see, we restrict the use of ganciclovir only to the prophylaxis and treatment of severe cytomegalo infections, like if there is pneumonitis, colitis, retinitis, especially in immunocompromised patients, AIDS, transplant recipients. We use it by IV route, IV infusion, because oral bioavailability is low, 10 mg per kg per day. In case of retinitis, if there is need, we can give, in addition to intravenous treatment, we can give intravitreal injections also in the vitreous humor. Intravitreal injection. Now ADRs, it is a toxic drug because it achieves high levels in the bone marrow precursor cells and suppress them, causing myelosuppression. Myelo is bone marrow suppression on IV use. That is why we reserve it only for severe infections. There may occur neuropsychiatric symptoms. There may occur fever, rashes, insomnia, peripheral neuropathy. So these ADRs are serious enough to warrant its use only, to restrict its use only for severe infections with cytomegalovirus in immunocompromised patients. The prodrug of ganciclovir is valganciclovir. It is an ester, velyl ester of ganciclovir. It again better bioavailability. It has replaced ganciclovir because we can use it by oral route in the prophylaxis and treatment of cytomegalovirus infection. But if infection is serious enough, severe enough, we need intravenous infusion of ganciclovir. Rest of the things remain the same. Next cytomegalovirus infection drug is foscarnet. Now see the difference now. It is straight chain inorganic pyrophosphate. Pyrophosphate समझते, it is already phosphorylated. Already it is phosphorylated derivative. Pyrophosphate. So there is no need of activation inside the cell. It is given in the active form. So it will be more toxic because it was the activation which was interfering with, which was making acyclovir a better tolerated drug, because acyclovir could not be activated in normal. Now this is given in active form. There is no need of activation. It is already phosphorylated. It goes and directly inhibits viral DNA polymerase as well as reverse transcriptase enzyme and interferes with viral nucleic acid synthesis. Now it is effective against herpes simplex virus, including this is acyclovir resistant strains, because we have discussed that the resistance of herpes simplex to acyclovir is because some resistant strains do not contain thymidine kinase, so they do not activate acyclovir. Here foscarnet doesn't need any activation, it is already active, right? So resistant strains of acyclovir resistant strains of HSV will respond to foscarnet. Similarly, ganciclovir resistant strains of cytomegalovirus will also respond to foscarnet. Also effective in other herpes group viruses as well as HIV, so it is non-selective against herpes, cytomegalo and HIV. So there is low virus selectivity, low resistance, because the organisms which are resistant to other drugs are responding to foscarnet. This is a positive thing. There is low resistance to foscarnet, but high toxicity. Why? Because it is already given in the active form. Not only many types of viruses, it will also affect the host cell. It is approved for cytomegalovirus serious infections, retinitis, colitis. The efficacy is same as ganciclovir, but the ADRs are more. Now you can understand why ADRs are more, because foscarnet is used in the active form itself. It is a pyrophosphate. We can use it in acyclovir resistant herpes simplex and varicella zoster infection in AIDS patient. If in AIDS patient there is herpes simplex infection which is not responding to acyclovir, we will give foscarnet. Foscarnet will act against herpes simplex as well as it will act against HIV. Similarly with zoster. Now it is very toxic to the kidney. ADRs occur in the form of nephrotoxicity, acute renal failure, phlebitis, anemia, tremors, central toxicity, convulsions, other neurological symptoms, and there is interference with the ketones, it can cause hypokalemia, hypomagnesemia and hypocalcemia, and constitutional symptoms occur due to this. So now do you understand the difference between a drug which is active, goes inside the host cell and inhibits the DNA polymerase, number one, foscarnet, or which is given as inactive, gets activated inside the body and for activation needs viral enzyme, acyclovir and others, ganciclovir. So this is about foscarnet. Next drug is cidofovir. It is different from others, that it is a monophosphate nucleotide analog of cytidine. See, it is monophosphate, means it does not need viral enzymes for its activation. Once inside the host cell, it will use host cell kinases to form di and triphosphates. But difference from others is that it is an analog of cytidine. So those organisms which are resistant to acyclovir, ganciclovir, they will respond to cidofovir. But it will be toxic because monophosphate is already there. So it doesn't need activation by viral phosphokinase. It gets converted to diphosphate by cellular enzymes. Monophosphate form is given, diphosphate is formed by cellular enzyme. This first activation, first phosphorylation is not required. That is why it is toxic. It is non-selective, means it will inhibit many DNA viruses, HSV, herpes simplex, cytomegalopox virus, adenovirus, etc. So diphosphate form does not preferentially accumulate in the viral infected cells. Reasons you know. अगर मोनोफॉस्फेट वायरल इन्फेक्टेड सेल में ही बनता तो डाइफॉस्फेट वायरल इन्फेक्टेड सेल में ही एक्यूमुलेट होता एज सीन विद acyclovir. But here monophosphate form is administered, so goes into all the cells, gets converted into diphosphate. So it is not essential that it will get accumulated in the virus infected cells. And this is a negative point because it will cause toxicity. Positive point is that cidofovir diphosphate remains intracellularly for long periods and inhibits viral DNA polymerase. Now, as it persists for long period, we can give therapy as weekly dosages, once in a week, once in 2 weeks. Dosages are possible with cidofovir. What are the indications? It is used for retinitis caused by cytomegalovirus in immunocompromised, especially HIV. 5 mg per kg intravenous every week, once in a week. Later on, maybe once in 2 weeks. Especially we prefer to use it in ganciclovir resistant cases, and along with cidofovir, before it and after it we give probenecid. Remember probenecid, which will compete with cidofovir for the tubular excretion. So tubular excretion of cidofovir decreases and hence its nephrotoxicity will also be decreased. Administration of oral probenecid will reduce the nephrotoxicity of cidofovir. So we can use it in ganciclovir resistant cytomegalovirus, acyclovir resistant herpes simplex which causes mucocutaneous, and we can apply it topically also on anogenital warts. So we restrict the use of cidofovir also for resistant cases of herpes or cytomegalo. ADRs, it is toxic drug because given in the active form, dose related renal damage, gastric disturbances can occur. Some people are hypersensitive, there may be neutropenia, there may be uveitis. Toxic drug, cidofovir. Right? So till now we have discussed anti-herpes drug and anti-cytomegalovirus drugs. Now just to see visually, this was the first step of viral entry into the median cell. Till now, in the drugs discussed till now, we have seen docosanol, which is a aliphatic alcohol which interferes with the attachment of this viral coat with the cell membrane. Fusion of these two is interfered, so penetration is defective. ना तो वायरस अंदर एंटर होगा ना ही रेप्लिकेशन होगी. Interferes with the very first step of entry of virus attachment and entry into the cell, blocked by docosanol. Then we have seen drugs like acyclovir, its velyl ester, valcyclovir, pencyclovir, its ester, famciclovir. These are anti-herpes. Then we have seen ganciclovir, valganciclovir, cidofo and foscarnet. So these drugs all we have seen, some are given as up till valganciclovir, you can see these get activated inside the host cell, right? And they inhibit viral DNA polymerase in the triphosphate form. Cidofovir is a pyrophosphate and foscarnet is a pyrophosphate, and cidofovir is a monophosphate analog of cytidine. So these first 6 drugs show cross resistance, whereas cidofovir, which is of cytidine, there is no cross resistance. Hence, if an organism develops resistance to these drugs, we can use cidofovir. Okay. Same with foscarnet, but toxicity is more with both these two drugs, whereas these are well tolerated ones. Okay, they all interfere with nucleic acid synthesis by inhibiting DNA polymerase enzyme. Okay, we will continue next time with antihepatitis and anti-influenza drugs. Fine, thank you.